What if everything you have deemed as impossible really was possible? What have you known and believed was possible your whole life? You just didn't know how to actualize it. Come and discover a world of infinite possibilities on Outside the Impossible with Venus Castleberg. On this show, we will share pragmatic tools to create the life and living you truly desire. And now, your host, Venus Castleberg.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am here today with Mande White Pearl, and we're going to talk about profits more than just money. But that's actually P.R.O.F.I.T.S. And we're going to go into exactly what that means in just a second. But Mande White Pearl travels the world empowering entrepreneurs and executives to expand their impact and incomes, specifically helping 1 million entrepreneurs and leaders create and actualize $1 million through the resources she shares at expandyourimpak.com. She is known as a P.R.O.F.I.T.S Alchemist and has always had too much fun showing creative entrepreneurs how to get paid to change the world. Companies like American Airlines, Southwest Airlines, Penney's, Spartan Race, and the hit TV show Deadly Sins have engaged Mande to them expand their impact. And I'm just super excited to have you, Mande, on the show today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. So grateful.
So I, of course, became like a little stalker-esque and like checked you out, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. You really do some really great things. And then one of the things I like to start the show with is I named this show Outside the Impossible because I believe that everything that we've deemed impossible is actually possible. And I often ask people, and if you have something to share, it's great. If you don't, that's totally cool. We can dive into other questions. But is there one thing in your life or your business or anything that you deemed as impossible that you changed?
Oh, I don't know that I could just come up with one. I think, the more I play with possibilities, which is the first piece of the profit system, the more I play with asking what else is possible, which is, I think, one of our favorite questions. So many magical things unfold. And I'm celebrating being an entrepreneur this month for 11 years. And it's gotten me to reflect back on, having a corporate job and crying in Target, working too much and hating my job, hating lots of different pieces of it, who I was working with and what kinds of people I was working with. And, when you're crying in Target in the baby aisle because those hormones kick in and you want to have a child and you know that you can't have this life, but you want business, and like you just fall apart because you think you can't have it all. And there was a real turning point of praying and asking, whatever's out there, God, universe, spirit, acorns, whatever, like there's got to be something. Something. Yeah. And so I get teary thinking about it right now, to think that, 11 years ago that was me is something that, I thought was impossible. And so I love helping entrepreneurs at all stages of their business because, after a decade of doing this, you go through them all. Every new income stream and every new, international travel, like whatever it is, it all seems like totally impossible until you actually get on the other side of it and you're like, oh, I did that. And I have people often say, well, you don't go through those struggles anymore. And I laugh because I think that at every point in our businesses, we continue to do it. You've never had a team before, and what else is possible with that? And I've never made $1 million a month before. So what does that look like? And there's just so many impossibles that it's just fun to start to learn how to have fun with them and how to start to say it's okay to want them all and to be the one who creates a reality where all of it shows up. So I'm a decade later and I've got an amazing business, and I have a different hubby than I had then, and he works in my business, and I have created a relationship with him that is far beyond anything that I thought would be a male-female dynamic in a business relationship. And I got 2 kiddos and a puppy dog who's 14 and acts like she's a little puppy dog, and life's pretty good. Awesome. And I'm keeping creating.
Because what else is possible? Right?
You know what? If I can dream it, let's do it.
That's awesome. So, like I said, our topic today is profits more than just money. Would you tell us, what does P.R.O.F.I.T stand for?
Yeah, so I created this out of over the last decade of being an entrepreneur and following all the gurus who told you, blogging is the way to do it, and Facebook Lives are the way to do it. And originally I got started, I made a lot of my success in the beginning teaching about Twitter. And what I noticed was people were trading, some people are good at sort of chasing the money, and then they would be really bad at customer service, or they'd be chasing the money and they'd sacrifice time with their family, or they'd be really good at making money and they would kill their health, right? And so I didn't know it at the time, but always in this question of like, how do I have it all? How do I have that and that? And so what we have with the P.R.O.F.I.T method is a system. I know lots of people don't like systems, right? But it's a framework to play with so that you can look at when you have those choices of right or wrong, good or bad, yes or no, you can look at the P stands for play with the possibilities and start to look at your business as something outside of you, something separate from you. And maybe to give a concrete example, I had somebody who had a class that they were an access consciousness practitioner, and they had a class that didn't have anybody show up for it this weekend. And so we were questioning, so what else is possible here? They were feeling like they were a failure because they didn't have, people show up. And what we learned by asking sort of what else was possible with that is they hadn't asked their body to be a contribution in their business. And so their body was like, fuck you, I want to take a vacation tomorrow, Sunday. I want to take Sunday off. And, so their body got what they wanted, but it was louder because they've been overriding their body for so long in their business. So there's more that comes into play with how things get created. And we do this with relationships with our kids and our family. There's so many other possibilities other than like the linear one that we think is exactly the way we want it to be. Yeah. And then awesome. We can dive in. I can tie all the other ones are receive, learning to receive from everything, learning to organize things into systems or energy flows, following the energy, implementing. Lots of times we get stuck in being the energy of money and vibrance and prosperity, and we forget to go do stuff. Or we're really good at doing stuff and we forget to be the energy of luxury and opulence, right? And then the team is to just trust that you have a team, and the team for some people is solely energetic in the beginning, and that everything that is around them can contribute. And some people already sort of know that energetics, but they forget to use it in their business. And then sometimes it means building a real physical team that can support you in getting some of the stuff done. So it's really looking at holistically, what does your life want to look like? How do you create that freedom you're looking at? And choose it in a very co-creative way.
Oh, I love that. I think I missed it though. F was following the energy, and I was what?
Implementation.
Okay.
So how much do you judge yourself for how much you haven't accomplished? And sometimes it's implementing things energetically, or sometimes it's implementing things physically. Lots of times I find people cut off their profits when it comes to they start something and then they get bored with it, and so then they think it's not going to work, and really their business is telling them to go away for a while. The business is like, okay, I got this handled, and I want to work on it for a while. And they cut off the energy of receiving from that, They pull their energy out, they go work on something else that feels more exciting and more fun, and they forget to leave that channel of possibility, that channel of receiving open, so that the universe can finish doing that implementation work that's necessary.
Wow, that's awesome. And S. T is team, energetic or,
yes.
Yeah.
Stop separating and rejecting. Have you ever wondered what is keeping you from the life you desire and from what you know is possible? So when we separate ourselves from being $1 million business owner, or when we separate ourselves from being able to have multiple income streams, or we separate ourselves from the lie that we can't be an international speaker or whatever it is, then you're not allowing those possibilities to contribute to you.
We've already made a decision before there's even an opening. Yep. Yep.
And a lot of entrepreneurs are really afraid of failing, and so they don't go off and try enough. But if you use this framework, and with it, you can visit expandyourimpact.com and see these listed out for you, and take the questions with you to have them printed up on, print them out and keep them in your desk. But they're questions to sort of operate from when you get into that destructor implant of fear, to be able to go, okay, so, which one of these am I using to stop myself, and how do I choose beyond it so that I can have what I really desire?
Oh, that's brilliant. And so when you say profit's more than just money, what do you mean by that?
Well, so sometimes we get told, if somebody said, I get this from the book, which hopefully many of your audience members have read. If not, they need to go grab it. It's called Money Isn't the Problem, You Are, by Gary Douglas, right? And he talks about that if someone offered you $1 million right now, to take away all the learning you've ever had, or to, start over again, would you do it? And most people are like, no, right? And if I said, you can't be a speaker, I'll give you $1 million, but you can't go do this or whatever, they won't take the money. They want, they're like, no, I want this or that, right? So when you're looking at what we want to create in the world, most of the people who are listening to this message or wanting to do transformational work, but trying to make an impact in the world, if they were given millions of dollars and they had to cut off their consciousness, they wouldn't do it. And so, but if we cut off our consciousness and don't accept the money either, or if we keep our consciousness and don't take the money, like, we're still stuck, right? We're not creating more in the world either. So there has to be this balance, or place we step into where we say, you know what, I need the money and I'm gonna keep my consciousness in play here. And that's really what we're inviting as many entrepreneurs into the space of possibility as we can.
Great. And so when you're saying play with possibilities, it's just being in the question of what else is possible, or what does play with possibilities mean?
So definitely it's an energy to invite into your business, and depending on who's listening and what kind of entrepreneur they are, and a lot of the tools that I share are from the work of Access Consciousness. So if you're not familiar with that body of work, really cool tools. Lots of us practice and teach those things. But in a way that the thing that brought me into the work of Access was learning how to play. I always thought business had to be boring and hard work, really hard work. And it wasn't until I really immersed myself into all the books and all the trainings with Access did I learn that, like, play is a possibility in business, and it's actually a really creative factor in having a business that gives you the freedom that you want. And so first of all, inviting that energy into your awareness is one of the first steps. A lot of people just need permission to to receive and to learn that, if other people are doing it, maybe they can do it too. And then to look at every single area in your life. We've created a being calendar, a being planner, and it came out of my desire to sort of recognize when marketing and sales things weren't fun for me, but that I knew they were necessary for the business. And so I would ask, well, what would make this fun? Right? And then I would find a really cool mentor to help me with, better Instagram images, or I'd help somebody to help me with copywriting. And so to be able to invite that energy into your business and then see what it shows up for you, it's going to show up different for everybody.
Right. Yep. And one person thinks it's fun, somebody else may not. Vice versa.
Yeah, and fun is also, it's one of those funny words like ease, where fun may not feel like laying on the couch binge watching Netflix fun, but we also have to be in question about is laying on the fun binge watching Netflix and then feeling bad that you didn't move your body really fun. So it's it's destroying and uncreating all the points you have about fun, and really getting to know yourself, to know what fun is. And I probably could consider myself a recovering lack of fun person. I was such a perfectionist that I had absolutely no idea how to have fun. So I attract others who are just like that too. I don't know if you suffer from any of that.
Yes, I do. Awesome. Well, we're going to take a short break here. We'll come back after the break. If you guys have questions, please call into 202-570-7057. We'd be happy to answer them.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
What is magnificent about you that you've never acknowledged? Are you ready to let your own light shine? What if you were 1,000 times more potent and powerful than you give yourself credit for? What if there was a monthly call that is designed specifically to empower you to be all you can be? Would that be fun for you? Venus Castleberg is now offering a Magnificence monthly membership for only $50 a month. Mention this ad and receive 50% off. To register or for more information about the membership, events, and services, please go to www.venuscastleberg.com. Is now the time to be different?
Tune in to the Practical Intuitive, Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World with me, host Robin Fritz, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern. I'll cover personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life regression, shamanic insights, energy healing, soul choice, and more, all to help you tap your own intuitive and healing skills. No ifs, ands, or buts.
This is the story of a very special woman. Just a few knew about her superpowers. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm here with Mande White-Pearl, and we're talking about profits more than just money. Right before the break, we were talking about how playing with possibilities, and I'm curious. I'd love to dive into the profits a little bit more, but I'm also curious, can you say a little bit more, because you talked about discovering access and how that impacted even your business. Did Expand Your Impact, that company, come out of your work with Access Consciousness, or was that before?
It was actually just this crazy combination of like how I allowed life to unfold. And I've always just been a massive creator. One of the skill sets that I have, I guess, is a capacity is I've always, and it came from a need in the beginning, right? A need to create money. So sort of desperately in the beginning, right? I left my job and now I need to like pay for things, right? And so I would always monetize what I was doing, and I got into teaching and training really quickly and easily. And I remember back in 2014, I had a workshop that I'd teach once a month down in South Florida, and I had a group of people that came every month, and they would learn mindset, a little bit. We'd call it energy. We'd call it mindset, but it was really energy work. We'd learn strategies and tactics around marketing and sales. And I did my first sort of book study of this book, Money and the Big O, and started teaching everybody the what else is possible question and how does it get any better question. And that group evolved into being called Expand Your Impact. And at the time I was just calling my business Mande White, or Mande White Pearl, when I got remarried. And it wasn't until I'd actually struggled with, when I left being in corporate, I really just wanted to be my own boss, and I had such a narrow vision of what that looked like and what was possible that, to just be able to speak and to teach and to coach was all I really, wanted to do. And when I started to realize the life that I wanted to create and how much that would cost to live, to travel, to invest, I realized I had to create a lot more money. And so I had to step into a brand that felt bigger than me and felt like a container that would hold the amount of business that would be required to have the life I wanted. And I wanted that to be outside me. I didn't want it to just be Mande White anymore. And so I actually, bought Expand Your Impact a long, long time ago. And have allowed it to unfold into sort of what it is now with my husband being in the business, and, the Access Consciousness tools and things like that integrated really fully into what we do. And because we have such strong teachings about marketing and sales sort of in this reality, and we have such capacities with explaining and sharing that and helping people be the energy that they need to be when it comes to this. And for me, sales and marketing is really just communicating, being a translator between what people want and what they need and what they say they want and what they need, and then them taking actually action and buying. And so we're really at a crossroads right now where there's more demand for our spiritual, our holistic, our healers to step up and serve the world, and there's more of a request of that from the general population. But with that comes the ability to sort of make that translation. So we're very skilled at that and love doing that, and I've learned to do this by practicing it on myself and figuring out how to communicate with others how to do it as well.
Wow, that's really great. And as it said in your bio, you've worked with things like American Airlines, Southwest Airlines. How do you take those tools, because those tools, like you said, kind of the holistic health and like energy and all that, like how do you take that language into those sorts of companies?
Well, it's something that it's so funny that anytime we go into a training and we dive ourselves into it, like, right, okay, say everybody came and we just did an Instagram training, right? And you were totally immersed in it for 2 or 3 days, and then you'd go back into your real world and you'd kind of want to Instagram everything. You'd be so excited about it. And, you'd be, oh, this would make up a good post, or this would be, oh, I should connect with this person, right? And that excitement is really like palpable. But you go back to your family and they're like, what do you, like, this is stupid. You can't just do this your whole life, because they're not sort of acclimated to it, right? And so in corporate, it's really, it's so fun because with Access, they teach you to ask questions, right? So if we actually would do that, and I have found with companies, if I don't go in with, hey, I've got this neat widget and I want you to use it, if I go in with, like, wow, you guys are creating this really awesome stuff in the world, I do my little research about what's going on, and then I find out what they need, and I help facilitate, some sort of benefit for them, then they open up into, like, oh, so what can you help us with? Or, thank you for that. Like, what can you provide for us? Or there is some sort of opening energetically with seeing what they need and then being able to go, you know what, I can provide a solution to that, or I can support you guys in that. So learning to just really tap into what people need, and it's always different from what they say they need versus what they really want, and then what they're willing to invest in themselves and their organizations into making those changes for. So that's where, getting out of our own heads and using our awareness to continue to find areas where the possibilities exist are really key.
Great. And so how do you go about connecting with those sorts of people? Just out of curiosity.
Well,
do they find you, or
how do we go connect with, like, big companies, or?
Yeah.
Well, one of the areas that we do a lot of teaching on is LinkedIn. And I partially do this because for myself, I am very much introverted. I would really rather be on a stage than, talking to a lot of people than one-on-one. And LinkedIn sort of matches the energy of that. Like, people are on LinkedIn because they're looking to do business. They're not looking to share cat videos or what they had for lunch, not normally. So that awkward small talk is eliminated. And so LinkedIn has always been one of those places where it was easy for me to hang out. And a lot of our clients find that too, because they can share their expertise about what they've been up to in a way that people will gravitate to. And if you just practice, pick up a Harvard Business Review magazine, or pick up go to entrepreneur.com and read some of the articles. And as soon as you start to get irritated or notice that somebody's teaching something that that we do ourselves in whatever modality you do, you'll know you're onto something then. But that's the language that audience is able to hear, right? So my hubby was acclimating himself into this business, and he was coming to me saying, the soccer coach that I coach with has employees, and he could really use our tools. Like, everybody should get their bars run. Like, how do I go approach him? And the soccer coach was very Christian and very professional, right? So it would seem that, so my husband just went in and started talking to him, and he's like, so, how could I get this into your organization or something? And the guy said, call it executive coaching, right? Or call it, executive leadership skills. And nobody cares what you end up doing, in the 1-day workshop or in the 2-day workshop. But if you walk in saying you're going to do Reiki with people, or if you say you're going to do bars, their barriers are going to come up. So are you willing to manipulate in a way that they can hear and receive what it is that you're looking to provide, and go down those pathways?
Awesome. It's all in language, what people can hear. So do you find, I know you said kind of personally you prefer to talk to large groups of people rather than individuals, but do you find that your work varies? I'm not saying everybody's different, and every company's different, so obviously it's going to be different, but do you think working with individuals versus working with large groups or large companies, do you work with them differently, or do you apply these same principles to all of them?
It's something I would have to sort of stay in question with, which is, this new operating point of view, right? Being an introvert is activated in me in some certain circumstances, but it doesn't mean that I haven't done the work to, notice, okay, so what triggers me and makes me want to be introverted. And using these tools of access and totally getting my bars around it has helped me to learn that the introvertedness I used to label myself as is really, I have such capacities to be aware of other people's realities and their universes and what's like, I can see 10 steps ahead in a company or an organization or a person. That's what sometimes comes into my body and feels like introvertedness. And so because I've got these tools now, of getting my bars around, doing different other energy, practices that we do within Access, or just using the verbal tools, you're able to transcend that sort of immobilization you might feel in being an introvert and be able to sort of move past it. But it's also a good opportunity to learn to keep your mouth shut and stay in question, right? Because sometimes being quiet when you're in a company or with a prospect and learning to ask I say right question, but it's like learning to ask a question that really lets them unleash what's up for them is where you're going to find the greatest access point for ease with supporting them.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So, in the beginning of the show, you shared a little bit about kind of how you started down this journey. What was there? I guess I'll start with was there a turning point where you were like, something has to change? I know you said you were in the corporate world, and did you have children then, or you wanted to have children?
Yeah, I wanted children. I was at that nice fertile age where your body starts to say, it's time to have children. And I was married an appropriate amount of years that was a reality. And it's actually really magnificent, the trauma I created for myself. With that though, so I got laid off, I started this business and quickly realized that the man I was with really didn't support me as an entrepreneur. He didn't like that of me. He wanted a predictable $3,000 a month always coming in. And in the beginning, learning to be an entrepreneur, some days you have, $10,000 months and some days you don't make anything, right? So, I started it started to be really noisy what the separations in our realities were. And, we started talking about having children, and he wouldn't say it out directly, but I created macular degeneration at the age of 33 and was partially blind in one eye, so I couldn't stare at the computer as much as I wanted. And in needing to be treated, they told me that I had to sign a waiver that I wouldn't be trying to get pregnant for at least a year after one of the shots in my eye, because they've never tested it on childbearing aged women. And I ended up needing 2 shots. So I had to go through like a 2-year period of not trying to get pregnant. And I really wasn't trying before, we were just talking about it. But in that time where you can't, it really brought to light, what did I not want to see about my marriage? We really got clear with each other that it wasn't going to work for us to be together anymore, and he didn't want to have kids with me, and he didn't want to work through those problems, and so we, very quickly and amicably divorced. I think it was probably the quickest divorce in the entire world. And I mean, and if we go back and we have another radio show, I can walk through all the crazy points of view that got impaled on me, about you can't go out and get married again, your ovaries are drying up, like all these weird things people, you're going to have to date again and Tinder and swipe, and like, it was just, but I went out knowing that I had to try, I had to go find something else. And even if I was going to be alone for the rest of my life and childless, I would rather do that than, not go out and be me. So, that journey was quite traumatic at the time, and I created lots of drama around it. But immediately also created some real clarity with the universe. I mean, the day I asked for a divorce, I told a girlfriend, and that afternoon, one of her neighbors offered me to stay in her 5,000 square foot mansion on the beach in South Florida, rent free for the summer, because she just needed somebody to watch the house. And so, I had just asked me, I'll live in my car for a month. I'll do whatever it takes, right? And the universe is like, no, we have this mansion for you. Go live there. And immediately up-leveled my client situations, and immediately met who is now my husband. And like, that story is just magical too. But, I had to keep playing with, I want it all, and I'm going to have it all. And how do I, not how do I figure it out, but like, what else is possible here, and what will lead me to that possibility, and how does it turn out better than I ever thought?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Right.
If I had to go back and tell you guys, if you could not do what I did, right? It'd be start asking these questions now, right? No matter where you're at in your life, you can offset a lot of trauma if you just start asking. Believe you can have it. You can have money, you can have wealth, you can have happiness. It's a choice, and you just keep choosing despite whatever everything else tells you. And then go find people who believe in you. They're out there.
Wonderful. We're going to take another short break here. If you guys have questions for Mandy, please call in 202-570-7057, and we'll talk to you on the other side.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Who said life had to be hard and disempower you? What if all of life really could come to you with ease and joy? What if everything you saw as a wrongness of you was actually one of your greatest strengths? What if you could wake up every morning with a newfound sense of empowerment? Join Venus Castleberg to discover a world of infinite possibilities. Every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, Morning Musings goes live on the Venus Castleberg CF Facebook page. What magic can we create every day?
Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hi, well, I have to turn the microphone up. This is Venus Castleberg, and I'm back with Mandy White Pearl. We're talking about profits, more than just money. And right before the break, Mandy, you were talking about kind of, the turning point and realizing what it was to do business. I'm curious, when did you discover access consciousness? And when did that happen, and how did that happen for you?
It had to have been around 2014 when I look back at my curriculum of what I was teaching. Right, I had done that book study in 2014 with my group. So one of my healers probably, well, I know she did, and one of my healers had introduced me to the work and started telling me I need to get my bars run and read these books. And I read the books and I started to, get my bars run occasionally. But I needed to probably create a little bit more drama in my life. And really, it wasn't until our oldest was diagnosed with ADHD that we really embraced, okay, this has to be a modality more than just what I use for my business anxiety and stress. We asked the therapist if we could have 6 weeks before they put him on medication to run his bars. And we did. And one of the teachers in 6 weeks, at the end of 6 weeks, actually, complimented us that we had, he's like, thanks so much for putting, your son on medication. He's acting much better in class now. And we just giggled that, we didn't really do that. We're running his bars when he comes over to our house, right? Because we have a split household. So, that was really that changing point. And we had another physical incident with the younger child who really asked us to step up and use this work within our lives. And so hubby adopted it a lot more at that point. And we committed to, this is just something that our family does, like eating dinner together every night. We get our bars run and we use the questions. And so I printed the questions up and put them around the house and framed them. And like our house just looks like one big walking access question. But, that it's just really contributed so much to having a blended household, I think, and having a lot of ease with it. I don't know that, it would have been as easy, stepping into a house where you already have kids and you already have, you have an ex to deal with and stuff like that can be challenging for some people. And I think the tools are really helpful with that for us. And then when you get that involved with it in your own life, you see it just trickle into your business. And I started requiring that, not requiring, right? But like, hey, if you're going to come for a VIP day and we're going to dive deep into writing copy or marketing strategy or something, I'd like to run your bars before you go home. And so I just started running bars with the clients after their VIP day sessions. And they didn't have the breakdown in trauma that they used to. So we started running bars at the retreats that we would do. So, we had a group that would gather together to learn how to write their marketing copy for the videos, right? So, our group would want to be making more Facebook videos. And so we got them together in Asheville for learning how to write the scripts for that and how to tell their story and how to be authentic. Well, all of that just brings up shit about your childhood and who you are and what your voice is in the world and stuff like that. So we ran bars at that retreat and asked everybody if they wanted to be certified, and they all said of course, because they want to go home and be able to do this. That it just ended up being a part of the work that we did. And now the groups that we have and the classes that we teach, half of it is, here's the technical how-to of whatever the strategy is, and then we're going to spend a portion of the time together clearing the energy blocks that are there, or we're going to, at the end of a retreat, invite you to a bar certification, because it just supports. You can't have too many tools in your toolbox as an entrepreneur. There's just, you just always need more.
Well, I love that, and I love how you said, access consciousness, it does impact your life, and it can't help but impact your businesses, your money flows, everything. So, I'm curious though, what are the key questions that you have framed around your house?
What else is possible? How does it get any better? What's right about me I'm not getting is on the bathroom mirror in both of the bathrooms. We can I have $20,000 now, please? It's a joke in our house that as soon as we started asking for that, clients would just show up with 20 grand and be like, oh no, I'll pay in full, don't worry about it. Or 20,000 would come in some other way. What else is around the house? If there wasn't a problem here, what else would be possible? Yeah. And then we've gotten more sophisticated with some of the questions. As you get into Access more, they get really crazy with the questions. But the kids just really like the simplicity of what else is possible, and how does it get any better than this? It helps with the kids to just keep it simple.
That's great. Well, I'd love to go back and revisit a little bit more about profits. We talked about play with possibilities, which is P. Would you say a little bit more about R, which is receive?
Are you willing to receive gratitude and success? And are you willing to receive the greatness of you and stop believing in your wrongness? So your ability to receive is essential to the success of your business. It's your ability to receive all the good in life, and it goes far beyond that. It's your ability to receive everything, like the good, the bad, the ugly. You have to be willing to receive money, and you have to be willing to receive no money, right? So setting up a class and then not having anybody show up for it, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means, that girl who I mentioned earlier, right, learned that her body needed to be included in the decisions she was making about her classes. That's valuable to know now. Hey, I'm going to ask my body now, right?
Right.
You have to be able to receive adoration and appreciation and gifts, right? So what if the universe just wanted to gift you some money right now? I've had clients who have shown up, said they wanted the widget I was selling, paid good money to get it, and then didn't do the work, didn't ever complain, and didn't ever, request their money back or anything. And I learned, that was a way that the universe was just gifting me the money. I needed the money for the air conditioner, right? And $3,000 shows up, right? So if we have, no, all my clients have to get results, or no, everything I do has to be successful, then you're not ever going to be able to receive those, just little nudges from the universe of, hey, we just wanted to give you some money right now. And debt is one of those conversations that people want to have a lot of judgment about. And one of my mentors, who wasn't an Access person, but really helped to soften the point of view I had about money and debt, because I definitely felt like, it was something that made me wrong and bad. He helped me to see that the amount of debt that I was able to get into was a capacity, and it was really, the universe supporting me in that creation. Now, it's a lot more fun to create it when it doesn't have an obligation to be paid back, right? But the energy of making yourself wrong for it, or feeling shameful or guilty for it, doesn't help out-create it. So, being able to receive from all the stuff that happens within your business, the good, the bad. Okay, nobody opened that email. Well, what can I do now? Oh, if I change the subject line, more people open it. Oh, wow, gotta test my subject lines from now on, right? Nobody's clicking on my Facebook posts. What else is possible with this? Oh, if I make a more engaging question, then they'll click. Okay, cool. Now I know, right? So there's always something to receive. Now, I failed at most of the courses that I've ever signed up for. I have one in particular. I wanted to do Amy Porterfield's 5-figure webinars, and I kept failing at getting this 5-figure webinar. But Ron made me stay in the question of it. He's my hubby, if I haven't named him yet. He's like, don't cut off that you have to create the 5 figures from the actual day that the webinar launches. It can come from other ways. And we ended up doing an iteration of these webinars a few years back, and it created a $100,000 client for me, the first $100,000 client I'd ever gotten. And then I just had to laugh, right? Because here I am doing this webinar and selling 5 things at $1,000 each and feeling like I failed. And yet every single one of them upgraded into something, and one of them upgraded into something that was $100,000. And it was like, oh, I just wanted the 100,000 that this class was, purporting 5 figures a month for a year or whatever, right? I was just looking for that. I didn't want it to show up the way that all the work that was required to do it the way that guru had taught me, right?
Right.
So love it when clients receive that kind of feedback and that kind of those other possibilities from things that they think go wrong in their business.
Well, that's actually a great segue. I'd love to have you talk a little bit more about what it is that you offer, individuals, companies, like what is the,
Yeah, so we provide strategy and tactical, both consulting and coaching and teaching around any of the topics related to sales and marketing, and business growth. Anything that's going to help the business make more money. And we do that through a lot of online trainings, a lot of virtual trainings that we have an extensive shop where things are available like right now that people can go and invest in, from $7 up to $2,000-$3,000 for trainings or events, and then we do work with people implementing those same strategies that we teach about in our courses on a one-on-one basis with companies, organizations, individuals, and those prices range really based on how much support you're needing from us and the team, and how much resources you already have available. So sometimes we come in and just sort of consult, and sometimes we come in with our own team and get everything done for people.
Wow, that's really great. So I was on your website earlier. You actually have, is it like a survey, a questionnaire where that helps give you a snapshot, and then am I correct in that you do an initial consultation? Is that?
Yeah, so if you'll head over to expandyourimpact.com, there is right on the almost below the fold, or right above the fold when you click on the homepage, there's something called a P.R.O.F.I.T.S assessment. And if you'll click on that, you'll get asked about 10 questions about your business and how it relates to these 7 areas that are going to help you increase your business more than just profits. And then it'll lead you to the manifesto, the P.R.O.F.I.T.S manifesto, which explains all of these pieces in detail. And then if you want, you can schedule a complimentary discovery session with Ron or myself, and we can just dive in, ask you some questions about your business and what you're up to, and then point you in that direction of, is the resource on our website the best way to go, or is some private coaching or consulting what's needed?
Oh, that's great. And I did see, for those of you who are out there and would just want to check it out, if you go to expandyouриmpact.com, they even have some free gifts. They have event calendars for all the events that they have coming up, and how to work also, like you said, one-on-one or with you or your hubby.
Yes. In the shop, there's a page called Free Gifts. You can access that from the menu bar. And then in the shop, there is, which is expandyouриmpact.com/shop, there's also a bunch of free tools that you can access in there. Over a dozen that you can just get started. Like if you want to play on Facebook and make more money, we've got strategies about that and examples of how our clients have done it, and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Instagram and all those good places.
Awesome. Well, Mande, if you could have entrepreneurs and businesses and companies out there get 1 or 2 key points from that you could, for anybody out there that wants to create a business or has a business and wants to improve it and expand their impact, what would you recommend?
Yeah, to play with the question, what else is possible? Like, just ask that so many times a day that you get sick of it. If you have a thought, what else is possible? If you have a thought, what else is possible, right? And let it lead you to what you do want to create. Most of us create from like what we don't want. No, I don't want to have a job because I don't want to have a boss. Well, You know, what would it be like to be my own boss is a question that's more inviting. Or, you know, I have team members that are frustrating to me. Okay, what would it be like to have a team that, you know, is totally fun, and I love to, we create together and we have so much fun, right? That energy shift allows you to really tap into what's possible for your business, and stop looking at like the lack and limitation that so much of the world is really set on, you know, talking about and bringing more attention to.
Yeah. And playing with possibilities really is a great tool. So again, if you'd like to find out more, go to expandyourimpact.com. You can find out tons of information there. Thank you so much, Mandy. This was such a pleasure to have you on the show. And thank you for everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.